Village Board. Hi, Marty. We're going to start with our usual administrative business. First would be to approve the minutes from our June 27th, 2023 board meeting. Is there a motion to approve? There is a motion from Warren. Is there a second? There's a second from Shar. Any discussion of those minutes? All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 0. Okay, next, I guess we'll let this person in first. Can't see what it says, but. Oh, Bob. Next, we need to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting. Is there a motion to approve? Motion from Rebecca. Second. Second from Shar. Any discussion? All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, 0, 0. All right. We're underway. First up, as always, is resident remarks. If you would like to make remarks to the board on any subject, you have 3 minutes. And I know my Marty's here. You're not here for resident remarks. So if they were coming from anyone, they'd be coming from online. So if you're online and wanted to make remarks, please raise your hand and Brigitte will tell me the order in which you raised your hand because I can't really see the screen all that well. Is anyone raising their hand?
No.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mike Hazard is, yes.
Okay. All right, let me do the timer. And Mr. Hazard, you have 3 minutes, starting whenever you're ready.
Thank you. I won't take 3 minutes. I am a lifelong Columbia resident. I presently no longer live in Columbia as of 3 years ago, but I am a flower farmer and I participate in the farmers market every Sunday morning in Oakland Mills. And I want to thank the board and the village for hosting us. It's a fantastic farmers market. I'm actually in 3 different ones, Clarksville Commons, Miller Library, and Oakland Mills. My wife and I agree that Oakland Mills is the best in many respects, including the sense of community there. And we're very proud and honored to be part of it. And the reason I wanted to join the meeting and make a short comment was that it concerns me that there's a lot of trash in the parking lot and throughout the village center on Sunday mornings. And it detracts from what could be a really more pleasant experience for our customers and for the vendors that are there. And I have a simple request. If you would simply just furnish a trash can in the area of the parking lot where we convene our farmers market, I would be willing to pick up the trash and put it in the trash can. It wouldn't be that big of a deal to police the area when I arrive and set up for the farmers market. As I walk towards LA Mark from the farmers market area, there's a lot of trash in the parking lot. I don't know if somebody's responsible for picking that up. It isn't being done, but at least I could pick up in the area we're in. So the simple request is just give us a trash can and and we can take it from there. Thank you for your time.
Sure, and that's actually not ours or CA's property. So the farmers market is held on private property. It's actually owned by Klein Enterprises. They own most of the commercial part of the village center. And they've been nice enough to continue letting the farmers market use that. So we can reach out to them and see if they would be willing to add a trash receptacle somewhere in the vicinity of the farmers market. And we'll also let them know that they might need to pick up their trash collection and parking lot cleanup on the weekends, because we've had a few problems in the past where some trash starts piling up around the center, and they've been responsive to that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay, did we have anyone else for resident remarks? All right, we will go to new business. And we have one item of new business, and that is finally, after I think we put you off for what, 2.5, 3 months? How long, Marty? We're finally having our Columbia Association team member liaison to give us a CA staff update. And our liaison is the director for community programs, the aquatics director for community programs and services. And that is Mr. Marty Altmans. So Marty, welcome.
Thanks.
You want to just.
He's gonna sit here,
It's
but
not
I'm
gonna-
gonna
okay.
work out how this works. So just,
Okay.
I apologize. Just give me one moment.
It's not the greatest room for hybrid meetings, is it?
It's very tricky to do this and I played with it today, but it's just gonna take a minute. Okay, see? Okay, it still has the So I apologize, Marty. Is that okay?
I think that'll work.
Okay, I
I
tried to do
scroll
it.
with it.
Okay,
We'll try and work it out. I've got it on my phone. Try and keep doing it with the phone too.
thank you.
So you keep up. Yeah, have a plan. So I guess first, this is a new program from Dennis to have one of the staff assigned to each one of the village boards for the year. And then we're rotate every year with the new fiscal year. So you guys won the lottery and got me first. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Marty Altmans, and I'm the Director of Aquatics here at CA. I've been with the Columbia Association for about 26 years. I started at 14 working as a lifeguard at the swim center and worked my way all the way from lifeguard to director of the pools over my career here. And I've been the aquatics director for about 7 or 8 years now. Before coming to Columbia, I'm a late Columbia resident. My father was in the military, so I lived everywhere. I was in a lot of different states, from Midwest to California to Guam to overseas. So I've lived a lot of different places before settling down and moving, married my wife and living here in Columbia. I went to Wild Lake High School and graduated from Towson University. And my interests, believe it or not, are not a lot with aquatics there. I'm a lover of everything Star Wars. One of my best friends works for the movie industry, and I play around with lightsabers and all types of stuff with him while he gets ready for movies. I do Legos. I have an amazing Star Wars Lego collection that I've been collecting since I was little. And so I have a love of Legos, and my wife has all the Harry Potter Legos. So our house is just it's gonna be great when kiddo comes along. They're never gonna have a want for Legos. And then I know every Columbia pathway is my weird thing is for my time working, running for Wild Lake cross country. I know every single pathway in all of Columbia, and I walk them constantly with my dogs. I'm actually a frequent visitor of your farmers market on Sundays, because I do a loop where I park at Stevens Forest Pool and walk up around Bland Air, and then farmers market, do our shopping for vegetables, and end up at Stevens Forest Pool and do that. So we do that about once or twice a month. And then after I did the gastric bypass surgery a few years ago. So about 2 to 3 days when the weather is nice, times a week, I actually park over at the park over in Ellicott City by the Target over there, and I commute from there to the aquatics office over by Spring 2 to 3 days a week. So a little bit about me. A lot of this is kind of some updates. I'm not going to read this all verbatim for you guys, but I am going to highlight a couple of things that I think are pretty impressive. So last month at CA, we had a lot going on. The thing that I was going to spend a little time on is the marketing team's been really doing a great job. They have brought out about 701 new sales leads in the past during that past period, at a cost of only $42 per that and then when you have personnel, it's about $84.79. But that's about been the membership sales team between marketing and the way that all that under Dan is working together is really impressive at how they're getting the memberships back. And we're really seeing it already at the pools this summer. I think when Dan and I were talking the other day, we're at 16 or 17,000 play memberships, which is even up now from pre-COVID, which is pretty impressive. And we're seeing the attendance back this summer, finally back to the pre-COVID attendance of the pools as well. And the CNSL is even back up to its pre-COVID numbers as well. The other big thing that was really good that happened, the photos aren't on here, but the Lakefront Fest, they had the art with the umbrellas. I can pass my phone around to you guys. But my presentation, Liz had got me some photos of all the different umbrellas, but they had these amazing umbrellas out, and they did, and it's really, if you've not been to that event, it is really getting better every single year with the photos and all the events going on there, and the residents about it's really great what we're doing with the lakefront right now. We've got the other really neat thing, this one's a celebration for me, is I've been pushing this for a long time. The marketing team worked with us on the pools, and we made a new electronic guest waiver at the pools, so that way people can use QR code on their phone. And if you're not a Columbia card or resident, whatever, and you want to be, it automatically goes right to the Jennifer's team, and you can sign up and have somebody contact you about memberships and all of that right from the pool. So it's worked out really well. I think just in the first month it was up, they got 60 or 70 memberships out of it, as well as just the ease of the process. It's no longer doing the paper log and making the lifeguards fight with the IDs. The lifeguards like it. So it's been a really good process. They've done some big energy efficiency unit changes over in historic Oakland. We've got the Lakefront Live for the movie nights have been really good. I don't know if you guys have been out for any of them, but the new movie screen and sound system is excellent. And it's a big improvement was there. I think Top Gun's this week or next week. So if you haven't seen the new Top Gun movie, worth going out on a Friday. I think Wally's coming up in a couple weeks, which my wife's and I first date 15 years ago. So we're going out to see that one. So they've got a lot better movie programming, different things, and a much better setup than they used to. So if you've not checked that out, it's worth doing. And I think that was the main things from last month that I wanted to hit on. Oh yeah, and then here you guys had the ice rink. They had the big sellout of all their Skating Through Broadway performances over at the ice rink, and they had 50 new skaters in it from their Learn to Skate program. And if you've not done one of the, since we're all adults, if you have not done one of the midnight mini golfs over at the sports park, they are fantastic. I've done it twice. They are definitely worth going to. They're from like 9 to midnight, and you go over. They usually have mocktails. Sometimes they've had beer vendors, but you go do a round of mini golf, and it's all adults, no kids, and it's a good time. So they got a couple more. She's been doing that. Belinda's been doing that monthly. Next month on, I've never seen it. One of these days I hope to, but my family celebrates in South Dakota for the 4th of July, so I'm always home for the 4th. But I hear the Lakefront event is great. We're launching a new email newsletter, Be Well with CA. We're working with Art. They worked with Open Space, created an interactive guide for the 4th of July. I don't know if any of you used it. I have not seen it, but I know it did get launched before that happened. They've got a bunch of capital improvements going on at Wildlife Tot Lots. We're doing work at Spring Sports Club on pool filters for the MDE. The Umbrella Art Show happened, and then there's just a lot. And I'm not trying to go on and on all night for you guys. Skip ahead. Finally, Long Reach Tennis Club will be hosting a grassroots campaign for the tennis and pickleball to attract new players. And then the big thing that I wanted to talk about was, and I think it's on one of the next one, was that the Teen Center is doing the takeover, and they're also, the tennis center is working with the Teen Center now on doing a kids pickup class for underprivileged kids at the with the CA Points program over at the Teen Center, hosted by the tennis group, and they've had a lot of kids attending that, so that's turned out really well, doing the tennis and pickleball over at the Teen Center with Renee. So some of the challenges CA addressing, staffing still continues to be our biggest challenge. A lot of key positions are still unfilled. Even in aquatics, like we hit our number of lifeguards, but they are all very young. Like I've said before, like we're going to get through the main part of the summer until around the first pools close. But I would not be surprised if again this year, with like because of COVID, like we never hired that 2 years worth of lifeguards. This is the year where like that group would be the pool managers, but we don't have that. So everybody that is a pool manager or assistant pool manager is like ahead a year, and they're all going to college for the first time. They're all going to, so it's like we have to get one more year to get through that wave of when everything was shut down for COVID. And it's not just us, it's the school age services, it's all around CA. And then the cost increases continue to be a challenge. And it's just not even third-party vendors, the county, like, with no notice, upped all the fees. So like the pool operator licenses used to be $11. Starting on July 1st, they're $57. It's a 500% increase with no notice from the county. So every single pool operator that we have for the pools, it's an extra, $45 per a piece for 100 kids. Do the math, it's like an extra $6,000 a year just to run the pools on county fees. The points of pride, the summer is really busy time for CA communications. They've been doing a great job getting the now to do more with CA email. If you're not on that, it's really worth getting signed up for that every Monday. Operations was quickly was able to fix the Wild Lake Barn to get the CA Nature Camp in there. So they were really proud with almost no notice. They put a bunch of work together and kicked that off to make sure the camp launched on the youth and teen continues to improve efficiency throughout that. So with that, any questions? And that's my new puppy. Hanging out in the box office.
So the CA pays for the lifeguards to get their pool manager's license now? Oh,
Yeah.
I would like a refund. And also, are you thinking that one day you'd like to be the president of CA? Because this is the same track that Dennis was on.
We've had that discussion over the years. That everybody asks when that's going to end up being me.
Because he started out as a
But I got
lifeguard.
about another 15 years till I can have the same time frame Dennis had in all this.
Marty, how many kids are participating in the summer swim team this year?
I will say off the top of my head 3,300, but I think it's a little more than that. Because they're doing the part right now where kids are canceling and still
Right.
joining as people move in. So it's over 3,300 this year.
And what's the total number of swim meets?
They've got 5 dual meets and then also.
Okay.
So they finished the first 3 and then they have the week off for the 4th, and then they got this one this Saturday, and they've got one more, and then it's all city, and then everybody leaves Columbia on vacation.
Right.
It's true. So the other part of this is there's anything you want me to bring back to Dennis or anything you guys need from me, that it's kind of to open that line of communication up, as well as me just preaching to you with what's going on. But if there's anything you need me to bring back to Dennis as well.
How are pool schedules determined?
They're pretty much the same year to year. And then we have an aquatics committee that works with us on that. But what specifically with the pool schedule?
Locally, Thunder Hill's my pool.
Okay.
It's open 12 to 7 every day except Tuesday. But the shadows fall on the pool at 5 p.m. So at 5 p.m. it kind of clears out because it gets chillier, and it's never open earlier in the day. So
Because you have seen us all practice there in the morning.
but maybe like one day a week, having it early for the early birds who want to swim. And we have some,
We can look into it, but the problem is that you got to do it fairly with all the villages. So
Sure.
so it's kind of a balanced schedule where they've kind of figured out these are the lap swims at the heated pools and all of that. So it would definitely, because when you do the math for all the pools, right now lifeguard averages out to about $19.50 an hour for taxes. So when you do that times 4 every hour that you open the pool up every day times however many pools we do, the money gets expensive extremely quickly. So, but the reason Thunder Hill is not an early open pool though is because you've seen the cell practice. There are multiple mornings.
okay. And I know it's a catch-22, but it's a couple of years ago, everybody's complaining how complicated the pool schedule was because it was open from these hours, this time, and then this day was this app. So,
Yeah.
It's
So
nice to
but the
have.
one thing that the aquatics committee does really nice is they've gone with the consistency of the pool schedule. So one of the things we changed as a committee probably about 8 or 9 years ago is activities are at the same pool all the time. So like if you go to Stevens Forest in the morning, is always lap swim at same time, and it's aqua fitness at the same time, and it's yoga and everywhere all around. So that, and then it would be Broadwoods on Tuesday, and then it would be here on Wednesday, and nobody could keep track of where to go. And so people would show up at the wrong pools and be mad all the time. So one of the things we've tried to do is make it so if you're going to swim lessons, you're going to Hawthorne every day for swim lessons at the same time. So everybody knows where they're going, and that's where the waiting pool hours are teamed up with that stuff. So that way it's a consistent, so you're getting the most bang for your buck for getting the right people at the same spot every day at the same time.
And then one other thing on that is, so CA publishes the pool schedules according to pool, but then on Facebook is where I know it, but then third-party moms
Yeah,
then reorganize it so that, you know, if I want to swim at this time, I can look across and see these pools are open. Has CA considered making some kind of interactive schedule? So I say, I want to go swimming at this time, you know.
we haven't, the problem is they do that, but then they take out all the information about all the events that are going on.
Mhm.
And then people show up at the pools and they're really upset because there's a camp going on, or there's a village party going on, or whatever's going on. So yeah, it's easy for them to look across and see, this is the time I can go really quickly at a glance, but then it takes away all of the details, because one of the things the committee always used to get screamed about was, I went to go to River Hill tonight and there's a pep rally going on, or I went to Pool X and there's a pep rally. By putting all of that, like turning them into the individual pool schedules, we were able to get that level of details. That way people know, oh, I'm going to the pool on Friday, there's a pep rally here, there's a camp going on in the marine, whatever it is. So that's why they've gone that way. I can bring it up to marketing and see if they can come up with something, but it's definitely, it used to be more that way, where we had like a pamphlet with all of it condensed, but then everybody would show up and be angry because it wouldn't have all the side details of, you're having a kids triathlon this morning, or you're having the pedal and paddle, or whatever those events are. So those things would get missed when you consolidate it, and then people would be angry all the time that I showed up and that was or wasn't going on.
Sure, the static document would need a lot of information, but if you had an interactive thing or, you know, on the website, then you could just look at the calendar and see.
Right.
Yep, exactly.
I think there should just be a disclaimer on the aquatics page in big bold letters that says, it's a pool. Other people are going to be doing things. Get over it.
Unfortunately, that is not the way it works anymore. It is, as times have changed, people want their activity.
I know.
Their activity,
I
and it is
know.
no longer the community. It's, I want lap swimming and only lap swimming, and I want rec
Yeah.
swim and only rec swim. So we tried to balance that.
But you're never just tempted to do that. Just, it's a pool.
No, that causes more chaos.
And I have a couple of questions for you.
Yeah.
Whatever happened last year, you did a pilot with some pools, you could have floats or, you know, limited.
The noodles, we still have it. Yeah, it worked well. We had no problems. So all those pools, we've got on the pool rule sign that they can bring the noodles, and we do still do the ultimate rec swim with floats over at Jeffers Hill. So we had no issues. We had no negative feedback from lifeguards or from members on it. So those little pools, we left it this year. And so that's just part of the pool rules at those 10 smaller pools.
Awesome.
Anything else for Marty?
Well, I go to Stevens Forest 3 times a week and swim laps, and my wife does the yoga at the same time, then we sit in the hot tub together. It's great, and that's a great pool. We love it. We love Bruce. He's
Yeah.
super. So,
Bruce is my superhero over there.
Yeah.
One date night.
day morning.
Date morning.
That's all I got.
Anything else?
Anybody's got anything else for me? So I'll be back next month in early August, and then I will be off probably in September because I'm expecting my first little one in September, so. I'll be off for a little bit while trying to manage bringing them home on around Labor Day.
That's great. That's great. I was wondering, because I noticed when you were talking about the Legos, you said when, not if, or,
Yeah.
you know, someday, but when. Okay. Cool. Congratulations.
Yeah, and it helps my wife's got a fun part-time job at the Lego store, so did a nice little hookup. That's all I got.
On your way out, you can visit the backpack behind Ginny, who also has Star Wars and Harry Potter that goes on.
But thanks, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Thank you,
Thank you very much, Marty. Bill?
I'd just like to,
Oh, Marty? Marty, we missed Bill.
I'd just like to apologize to everybody here and online why I'm late. I've been online for the last couple of hours on the phone, dealing with all kinds of technical difficulties with all my communications at the house. And I'm gonna need a new router, set-top box, and optical network termination device. So I couldn't get off the line because I had a difficult time getting hold of people. So that's why I said I'm gonna be late. I'm gonna get my technical stuff fixed, so I apologize.
No worries. Thanks, everybody. Have a nice night.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Take care.
See you soon.
See you in a couple weeks.
All right, moving into old business. The first, oh, are we having technical difficulties again?
What's that?
It looks like a screensaver. It's beautiful. This isn't like an episode of Star Trek. Is it? Leap out.
I'm trying to stop sharing, but for whatever reason,
Why does it think it's sharing?
I don't know.
Oh, it's underneath, so it's because the TV is telling you you're connected, and underneath that is the sharing thing. I don't know if you can move one of those out of the way. Yeah, maybe unpin that.
If I unpin it, the whole thing will go away.
Really?
Yeah. I apologize. I'm sorry, Amy's not here today. She is on vacation and she trusted me with this situation and
Can you?
I feel for you. I just spent 2
Rita,
hours
do you
doing this.
see the white bar next to the word connected? Can you grab that and slide that thing out of the way?
this,
Yeah, is that a thing where you can move the, no?
no.
Thinking she can slide is something on the right. There you go now. There
Oh,
you
that's
go.
still up.
No, but you know what? Go to see.
There we go.
See where it says share screen down there on the green? No.
No, we got it to go away.
It's not, it's not
There you
sharing.
go.
There we go.
There we
Sorry
go.
about that.
Hello.
All right,
Live and
I'm
learn.
Everybody's a tech department.
so our first item is, we're bringing back we're bringing as old business, new business from last time, and that is the potential comments from OMCA to the FAA in their review of the civil aviation policy. So I know Paul is here. He talked to us about that a couple of weeks ago, and I think the consensus was, Paul, you know this better than any of us.
Mhm.
Everything you're saying makes sense. Could you draft something? So he did, and Bill and I looked at it. We just did really some minor editing to clean things up, nothing really substantial to the content. So I think everyone received that. Hopefully you had a chance to look. If not, it's in your packet. I personally think it was thoroughly done and well thought out. Paul, there were a couple of my comments still in there. I know you wrote back and said, yeah, I'm good with all the edits. That's fine. There were a couple of comments. I didn't know if you were waiting until tonight to address them, but one was I was asking about the lawsuits, whether we need to elaborate on that more, or, you know, the recipients will understand what we're referring to. And then the other thing was there was just in the second to last paragraph, you quoted something, and I just thought, well, we should probably cite the source of that quote.
Why don't we work through what you were concerned about? I mean, I don't know what the site is that you're referring to. I do want to suggest that in the last paragraph, that instead of using 55 DNL, that be reduced to 50. I've talked to some other folks, and folks are feeling that may be even too high these days. So that's something for the board to consider. My recommendation is that we use 50 DNL and not 55 DNL. So anyway, where's your comments? Jonathan, and let me try to respond to those.
Sure.
Paul, can you just remind us what DNL is again?
It's a day-night average, and it's an average that's used over 24 hours for the noise metric threshold. And to make it even more complicated, they use an average day out of the 365 days. So it's an average of an average, which makes it even worse, and at least in my opinion. Now, just as a point of reference, airports in Europe are now using 55 as a DNL. We haven't done that here. But I think honestly, for built up areas like ours, where we never thought we would get the degree, frequency, and amount of overflights, I think that the DNL should go down lower. And if that happens, then airports would be required to do mitigating measures. Closer into the airport, they now put in like triple pane windows. They go back and do better insulation on the homes. The only issue there is you still lose the use of your outside deck space, and also your screened-in porch if you have one. So there's still a loss of use, at least in my opinion. So anyway, I'll try to answer John's question if you can kind of focus on what you were concerned about.
Sure, thanks, Paul. I don't know if you have the copy of the document I sent back to you, but actually, if we start at the end where we were changing that last paragraph to say 50 DNL instead of 55,
Mm-hmm.
if you go one paragraph above that, it says,
Okay.
we suggest that there be a separate alternative day and nighttime metric. And then in parentheses, there's a quote saying what an alternative metric is. So I thought maybe you quoted that because you were quoting a study or something that we should cite. I wasn't sure why it was in quotation marks.
The alternative metric is the definition that they're using within this request for recommendations. That's why I put it in
Okay.
quotes.
Oh, okay, all right. So it's right out of the request. So it's
Right.
We're giving their words back to them. Okay, thanks.
Right,
All right,
right.
that one. I'm not worried about. And then on the first page, in comment number 1, it says lawsuits were filed, but proper notice was given of the proposed PBN changes. I wasn't sure what that meant. Are you saying that people filed lawsuits alleging that proper notice wasn't given, but it was found that it was, or what were the law?
Yeah, the 60 days that was required under NEPA, that in fact was done. We said that they didn't give constructive notice. And that went to the federal courts, and the federal court opined that in fact that was the case. I mean, I think what I saw when I researched what happened here in 2016 is that the FAA complied with the minimums required under NEPA. I mean, it was not, I mean, I work for the Federal Transit Administration. We did much more in terms of giving notice to folks when there were noise or other issues. But the FAA has, in their wisdom, has just done the minimums, and legally they complied with NEPA.
Okay. So, Paul, would you okay if we edited that to say lawsuits were filed alleging lack of constructive notice, but proper notice was given.
Yes,
Okay, all right,
that would work.
all right. Well, that covered everything I had. Did anyone else have questions or comments for Paul?
No.
All right. Shall we have discussion about whether we want to go forward and submit this to the docket?
Mhm.
Or if there's no discussion, would someone like to motion that we go forward and submit this as slightly edited tonight to the docket?
I move we submit this as edited.
I
Okay.
will second that.
All right, now any discussion? All right, all in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, 0. Feels good to say again, 5, 0, 0.
I was just gonna say, Jonathan, doesn't that sound good to be able to say
It
500? You took words out of my mouth.
So, Brigida, I made like 4 marks on that. If you wanna, if you could work those in and then I guess submit it on our behalf, because otherwise it's gonna sit for a week and a half if we're waiting on me.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul.
Well, I thank you for the endorsement and for submitting that on behalf of the Oakland Mills Community Association. And since Brigida is there, I'll make a brief comment on this gas issue that I brought up. I'm trying to meet with some folks, and it may happen next week. If it does, it will be at Dunkin' Donuts. So I'll try to pull you in, Brigida, on that particular meeting as to what's going on.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Paul. Okay, next up, and it's not in our packet, is it? Is the exterior alteration application draft that I talked about in new business last week.
It's not in here because I submitted it per your request to the RAC and was waiting for their comments, so I could
Okay.
make their suggestions, so I apologize. I have not heard from them, so I wanted to make sure they had a chance to give input, so that was on me.
Okay.
And I should have amended the agenda, but I thought I might get something back.
It's okay.
So,
So we could do one of two things. We could bring it up on the screen for the board to look at, knowing that we're not going to make a decision tonight because we're waiting for the RAC's advice, or we could just table this item and bring it back in a couple of weeks. Any preferences?
The
Second?
one. Yeah.
All right,
Second.
we'll table it till the next
Table it.
meeting. Okay, next is another item of old business, the Oakland Mills High School, Middle School campus new start time. So there was discussion last week of requesting to the Board of Education and Superintendent that they stagger the start times, with Oakland Mills High starting at 8, Oakland Mills Middle starting at 8:10, to give Kilimanjaro Road some time to clear out between the schools, and also to give people who might be dropping children off at both schools the opportunity to do that, because if they both start at the same time, that's difficult. Since that time, I did reach out to the principals of both schools just to let them know. I mean, they knew it was going to be on the agenda because it goes out, but to let them know what we discussed. And the reason I'm looking at my phone is I'm actually looking for the email traffic, so I can tell you exactly what the exchange was, and I filed it, and it's right here. I did not hear back from the principal of the middle school yet, Regina Coleman. I did hear back from Dr. Fink at the high school. He actually forwarded my note summarizing our discussion to the president of the Oakland Mills High PTSA. President of the Oakland Mills Middle PTSA was at our last education meeting, so she had already weighed in. I invited the high school PTSA to come to the meeting to be part of the conversation, and hadn't heard back, so they're not here. Unless Bob is the president of the high school PTSA, but I don't think that's why he's here. Or maybe Ginny. The PTSA did send me a summary of what they had discussed. And I did send a response, with my personal thoughts, but also where I thought, we might go based on kind of the history of the board here. So they said start times between both schools a half hour apart rather than 10 minutes. Now, I think 10 minutes is the most they're going to do under their new policy. But I also agree with what Rebecca said at the last meeting. If you have them too far apart, it creates this perverse incentive to take one kid, go home, take another, and then it doubles the traffic on the street where, people might otherwise make one trip if they're spaced just right. The other thing they said was have traffic officers, more present to aid inbound and outbound traffic through the neighborhood. I think that's a good idea. They said more stop signs, not really where, so I wasn't really sure. I didn't really have much to say because I don't know where they want to put more stop signs.
Run the ones. We have now.
That's true, yes. Have school resource officers aiding in the flow of traffic, not only on school property, but also on Kilimanjaro. I think that's a good idea as well. They are Howard County police officers, so their jurisdiction doesn't just end at the school grounds. And then so I said, yes, we definitely talked about having more police presence, having the school resource officers. And then the last one they suggested, and this apparently came from one of their members, was widen Kilimanjaro Road. And I took the liberty to say, based on the recent history of the board, I don't think the village board or the community would go for that one because we just supported a road diet on Oakland Mills Road, and making the roads wider usually encourages higher speeds and less pedestrian friendly activity. I think we need to, work within the confines of what we have. I mean, maybe there's an opportunity to, within the road, stick a turn lane in there or something so traffic doesn't back up behind a left turning car, but I didn't think we would really go for, pushing to have Kilimanjaro Road widened. And that's also not something we can ask the school system to do anyway. That's a county infrastructure project. So that's what the Oakland Mills Middle PTSA said. Like I said, I did give them the time, date, and place of tonight's meeting and asked if they could come because I said we would be discussing it, but to date haven't heard back. And this exchange goes back to July 3rd, so a little over a week ago. So that's kind of the summary of where things are. Like I said, Mrs. Coleman from the middle school has not responded yet. Their PTA president was at our education committee meeting. Dr. Fink had shared his concerns with me in that meeting I had with him before our last board meeting. So, he just forwarded it on to his PTSA because I think he knew I already know how he feels about things. So that's where we are.
Did they suggest like patterns of driving for folks so that maybe everybody's going one direction on Kilimanjaro in the morning or something like that, just to kind of maybe make Kilimanjaro a one-way road during school hours?
No one
Anything
had,
like that?
no one had suggested it, but because of the way none of our roads connect in Oakland Mills,
No, but you can definitely connect. You can definitely connect because people who live, you can go up Farewell and come down Kilimanjaro, or you can go up Kilimanjaro and come back down Farewell.
that wouldn't be a school thing. That would be a county thing. I think they'd have to do a traffic study on that.
No. What I'm
But-
suggesting is that the school suggests a pattern of driver of.
Here's
Here's the pattern that we
the
suggest.
yeah,
I mean, if you want to make Kilimanjaro one way when school starts, that's something the county has to do.
Yeah.
But you could say to parents, here's the route we suggest to make it more efficient for you to drop off kids at the middle school and then drop off more at the high school, whichever you're going to prefer. I mean,
I'm sorry. I do think it's a good idea for them to put that out. I just know what happens every time they try.
oh, okay.
We have schools telling parents, please don't park on the road and dart across Stevens Forest Road. It's really dangerous, and they still do it. That's it. But I think they should. I think they should. Yeah, I agree with you. I think they should. I thought you meant actually have the county, like, like
You
some of the
could,
roads
you
that
could.
can go into DC. Oh, this is one way only from 7 to 9 or something like that.
Yep.
I like that. But unless it's a rule.
Yeah,
Right, yeah.
Well, I had a thought too, and it literally just came to me, and it might be crazy. I mean, I've been through many, many, many years of drop off of children, but. You know how, like for the 4th of July or a lot of events where there's a lot of people, they have you bring your children to a particular area, or you go to a particular area and then there's a shuttle bus. Well, there's obviously not gonna be a shuttle bus, but the same concept. If you're coming from these neighborhoods, perhaps you could drop off, I mean, our parking lot isn't that far, or another area that has a parking lot that. And again, I haven't thought this all the way through, it literally just popped into my head, but that way, maybe neighborhoods coming from this area, you could go here and it would be easy for them to get there. So, and maybe that would lessen the traffic in front of the school. And I don't know, again, if parents would necessarily follow that, but they send a back to school letter, and.
yeah, I can ask.
Yeah, again,
I-
I don't know how it would work.
My experience, when it comes to the schools communicating is they, I don't know whether this is policy or preference, but they want to tell you to drop off your kids in their carpool loop, because that's where they have their staff and their safety officers
Right.
watching things. If you say drop off at the village center, they might say, well, that implies that we're gonna be responsible for those kids getting from the village center to the school, but they can't be.
Yeah,
Because I know even, at Stevens Forest, right, the unwritten kind of rule was, oh, you can use the neighborhood center parking lot and get your kids there and pick them up there, but the school will never tell you that. The school will say, no, go through the carpool loop, be patient.
yeah, that's
Is
there
a way to create? Santiago, using Santiago as a
Right.
drop off.
Right.
But
What is also,
Yeah. And I thought that's why I'm waiting to hear from the middle school principal. I thought that might become an opportunity, because if there is going to be an entrance from Santiago to the new school, now we're a few years off from that, then Santiago will take you on the school property.
what's the opportunity for high school kids, not middle school kids, but for the high school kids to use public transportation?
I don't know whether it's still in effect. I have to look. The county did have a program. They started a couple of years ago where high school kids could
Right.
ride the RTA buses for free.
They do still have that.
They do still
put
have
out something, yeah, like right after this whole bus issue.
Mhm.
I wanna say maybe early June, they put out another press release indicating that was still a possibility.
Okay. And I think that should definitely be encouraged.
Yeah.
I mean, and really the only way to hopefully, help keep that program around is if people are using it.
Yeah.
Because if they don't see anyone using it, it's
Do they
easy to
need,
take it
do
away.
they need any ID for that, Brigida? Do they have to have like a student ID? or-
I have to double check. I'm guessing they probably would, but I would have to double check, yeah, but I would imagine so.
But that was, marketed more
Mhm.
to students and families, for the ones that maybe don't know about it, then that would definitely,
Yeah.
pull some of the cars off the road and get the
You got
students
a
to
group
school,
of kids.
mass
all
drop off
together.
buses.
Well, and I think that's a nice option, especially for the kids who have, well, there are not so many before school, but after school activities, right? Because the problem for the kids who get school bus service to school is if they play a sport or something, well, that bus leaves at the dismissal bell. It doesn't wait around for sports to end, but
Yeah,
the
sorry, kids,
RTA
get
buses
those.
are always
Get those.
running.
Right.
maybe
Yeah.
that entails looking at the schedule to see if there are buses at the appropriate times and working with the county to,
And there is a bus stop right outside the high school.
Do we know,
Yes.
do you know when the times are, this bus run there?
We have the schedules out front, but I don't.
Exactly, exactly.
I don't know. The other thing I don't know is whether the bus lines align with the attendance area. So for example, if the bus line that comes along Kilimanjaro then goes down Oakland Mills Road toward the south, well, they don't go to Oakland Mills High School anymore. We need a bus line that runs east on 175. Otherwise, they're transferring and then,
You don't want
to
to
get
get
them
on
to
an
deal with all
hour-long
that,
bus drive.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. So we probably have to look at the bus routes and see if it even aligns with the attendance area.
Exactly.
Because I remember once, this was years ago, when the food bank was on 108, not far from Thunder Hill, really. I looked at what it would take to ride the buses from our village center to the food bank. It was just right, it's a couple of miles, what, 2.5 miles or so? It would have been well over an hour, because I think you gotta get on 3 different lines, to get there. I hope that's not the case for this, but I think it's worth looking at the bus routes.
It looks like the 407 goes along, it goes Oakland Mills Road from Owen Brown, along Kilimanjaro, Stevens Forest, Whiteacre, Thunder Hill, and then out 175. So it does do. kind of a
Okay, good.
loop.
So the kids in On Brown can get to school. What about our bus stop? Because we have one at the end near
It's
Lightning.
not the same, no, yeah.
Now goes to.
Yeah, the kids are
I
happy.
think the only
I
bus stop
remember
that I
a lot
know,
of the kids know in Brown go to Atholton now, they don't go.
one on 175.
The Cradle Rock loop got moved to
So
Atholton.
I
a
think
few
the
years
only
ago.
bus stop that's near our home is
The-
right on Lighting View.
And then at the other
On
end.
that
on
corner,
108,
close to
there's one
175.
right at Wendy's,
Mhm.
the new fancy Wendy's, there's one over there too.
Maybe you gotta cross 108 to get to that. don't you?
Yeah, that's, yeah, but there's a crosswalk there, I mean, that's the light in the crosswalk.
One of the most dangerous crosswalks.
So maybe the kids should use that.
I'll try to find that press release.
It specifies exactly what the county,
Yeah,
I don't know if I found it on the interest page or where. I'll look for it tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm having to do it.
So it's very, even if we can put it in one of the constant contacts, just,
Let people know.
yeah, letting folks know.
Okay.
So I don't even think I knew about.
So, several of the things we're talking about might be something we work out with our individual local schools here, but the big thing they don't get to decide is their start time, and also potentially how they deploy their school officers. Do we want to decide now whether we want to send something to the system and the Board of Education, at least covering the start times? And then, continue to work the other issues, because there are a lot of things that could potentially be done, but it basically means going out to all different people with different roles and jurisdictions. The one thing we can do probably now and know exactly where it needs to go is at least get the start time spread out a little bit, if we want to do that.
Let's push with that.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right, I can try to draft something up. Yeah, I can come up with something, maybe quickly tonight, send it over to Brigida, have her send it out to all of you. All right. So we'll do 8. 10. High school. Middle school. And what I'll put in that, in addition to that request, is some of the stuff we already had talked about under old business last time, But for the schools, Kilimanjaro is a residential road, 2 lanes fed by only 2 roads, one to the west, one to the east. Both of those are just 2-lane roads, residential.
Mhm.
Something's got to give. Okay. All right, thank you. It says vote here, but I think what we'll do, since we don't have something in front of us to vote on, is we'll draft something and then just by email, if everyone's good with it, we have consensus tonight, we'll
Mhm.
send it off. Sure. Okay. Great. All right. Board chair report. I've actually had a crazy couple of weeks at work, so for all I know, the sky could be falling here and I wouldn't have noticed it. If you promise not to get into another 30-minute discussion about that stupid hill, I'm gonna say one thing about the hill. And that was the other topic I wanted to discuss with the middle school principal, but she hasn't responded yet, because if there's an opportunity to get any kind of capital funds to do something, it's gonna come through that middle school rebuild that
Mhm.
starts next year. So as soon as I can get a response and maybe get to talk to her, maybe I can have an update on what might be done in that area.
And that's been mentioned to me several times when I've been at the farmer's market, so that hill is a big deal.
Were there any other questions for me in the board chair report? All right, I'm turning it over to Karen then.
Okay, so there has not been a CA board meeting since the last time we got together. The next one is this Thursday, when we'll be focusing on a recap of the 5-year strategic plan and what went well, and talking about next steps for creating the new strategic plan, the new 5-year strategic plan. So that the one that we're under, I think, ends at the end of next year, so we'll put together the new 5-year strategic plan. And then the other thing that we're gonna be talking about is everybody's favorite topic, the ethics panel. So that should be a very interesting discussion as well. So I'm not pleased with what I've seen in there, but we have a big discussion this Thursday, so. I don't know if there are any questions, so I don't really have anything else until I actually have some meetings for folks. Oh, the board is gonna go on a field trip to Reston to see the stream restoration that was done down there, because we're weighing, we're in a crash course on stream restorations right now. So,
Have you looked at the one on, off of Lightning View?
yes.
That's probably what it'll look like.
I'm not sure that stream restorations work.
I don't know, have you talked to John McCoy about it?
Yes. Mhm. So the board has been actively talking to John McCoy, Jeremy Sharpenstein, who is the sustainability expert. We've been talking to the Watershed Advisory Committee. Their next meeting is July 24th. I'll be attending that. Bob and I. Bob is he and I talk Rebecca knows this. He comes to the farmer's market on Sunday. So that's a lot of our discussion. So I drive up and down Whiteacre now looking at the open drains that are there. So. I don't know, any other questions? Anything?
Questions? All right, thank you. Brigitte?
Okay, well, I was off on vacation, didn't go anywhere too fun, just whatever, but we have some events coming up. Stevens Forest pool tickets are now available on Eventbrite. They're free, but we do have tickets for everybody, and they will not be given away at the pool, so we ask people to get them beforehand. Jazz and Manila tickets are on sale both at the other barn and online at Eventbrite. Our Prepare for Success school supplies drive has begun, and we now have a crate in the lobby. And one other thing with that Ashley and I thought would be fun, if anybody is interested, we reached out to Roy Appletree, who is the gentleman in charge, and we found out that they do packing days. So I thought it would be fun to have some staff board that might be available to go and pack the supplies, just as a nice gesture, trying to get us out there to do some more community service projects as a group. So he indicated that he will be providing a sign up Genius link. And once we have that, Ashley's been taking care of it all, but she will forward that all. And if anybody's interested, maybe we can do it on the same day. And I'm also gonna encourage staff if they want to do that as well. So something new to do, more than just give the supplies, be a part of the packing. Amy and I are working on a lot of things. As you see, she's on vacation this week, but when she comes back, we are hoping to have a new resident welcome open house in September. We thought it might be a good time as people, once they kind of get into school, so we're looking at mid to not too late in September, because of course we'll be working on the festival too, but just to kind of get them to know what we do at the other barn. And then we're hoping to also get some of the community organizations involved, so they can know that they're around. So we're going to brainstorm and start to put together an agenda to really make this happen in September. Yes.
Are you thinking of making it like a tabling event for some of the organizations?
We're thinking of that.
That would be
Yeah.
pretty cool. I'm in favor. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, and so it's something I've had in my mind. Amy thought had some ideas too, so like I said, we're kind of gonna brainstorm when she comes back. And then, of course, festival vendor applications will be available beginning the end of July. And our most exciting news is that I have officially put in the order for new telephones, which sounds very unexciting, but everybody here is very excited considering we now are down to more phones. So they're not that exciting, but it's a huge upgrade, and we'll all be able to hear clearly, et cetera, et cetera. So that's all I have.
Thanks, Brigida. Any questions for Brigida?
No, it's a great update.
Yeah. We'll move through this efficiently than I that way. All right, committee reports. Oh,
I had you on there because you didn't tell me not to, but.
I actually didn't really, so, good news. We are all caught up on the acting architecture chair signing all the applications from the RAC as of yesterday. And you know, Lynn always used to share this, and I'm going to share it as well. It's, you know, having seeing all the applications coming through, there are a good number, and you know, people really are investing in not just keeping up, but improving their properties throughout Oakland Mills. You know, we're getting applications from all over the place, and you know, people are really proposing to do nice things with their properties. So it's nice to see.
I'll be submitting one for my siding, so.
Okay.
Woodpeckers have destroyed the side of our house.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's that, and I think it has something to do with maybe that creek restoration that's on Lighting View, because I know they took a lot of trees down.
Yep.
And I mean, because we didn't have any, you know, issues like with woodpeckers. I think I had like one or two that we had in early spring, and that was it. Since they've started, I mean, we've had like 2 or 3 on the side of the house, just constantly pecking and knocking, and I'm like, I can't take it anymore. I
Yeah,
cannot take it.
don't get aluminum siding, that's a lot louder.
So we were looking at vinyl.
Yeah, they
or
will,
the-
they
or the
will peck
hardy backing.
at metal. It's really strange, because we have one that will come and sit on the, I call it a chimney, but it's really not. What's the thing you call that comes out of the roof to, you know, to vent your furnace?
Smoke
It's
stack.
like a
It's
chimney.
really a
but Yeah,
chimney.
it's like a chimney, but it's
Yeah.
not a fireplace chimney. Anyway, that stupid woodpecker goes up and pecks on that, and the whole house vibrates, because it resonates all the way down to the basement and through the
why?
walls.
Haven't had that one.
Because it's louder and it's just his call.
Mhm.
So that's one that he can
Yeah.
be heard for miles.
I mean, we even put cameras like there, you know, on the side of the house, movable cameras. Because we figured like when they land, the camera will move and kind of startle them. Oh, no, they're looking right into the camera, just in their head, just a
They're
mile an
waiting for the
hour, and I'm
camera
like.
to focus on him.
You've got to get that on TikTok.
Yeah.
Action.
And I'm like, I'm not, I mean. I mean, the whole, if you just see the whole side, my husband, for him, just every time they make a hole, he's up there trying to repatch it. And I said, you know what, I said, we just have to just have to replace the siding, 'cause,
Mhm.
you know, we have the old, T111.
Mhm.
So, yeah, we got some quotes just a couple weeks ago, so.
Good.
All right. Any other committee reports that we didn't know about? Good, we're moving right along. Let's go to the bulletin board. Brigida, you got anything?
I do not.
All right, Char,
I guess.
Bill? Karen?
Nope.
Warren?
Just that my son and Jennifer, who's on the board, are on their honeymoon in Japan.
Oh,
wow.
wow,
Nice.
They come get back Saturday, they've been gone 14 days. And I
Nice.
watched, our family is watching the cat coming by. So.
I already told you my major bulletin board, but also Warren could have mentioned, I feel like we're always talking about Coco stuff, but in this case, it's very relevant to Oakland Mills. Coco was awarded the Howard County, one of the Howard County Innovation Grants. And so we are going to be installing, I don't want to just say bike racks, bike stations at Oakland Mills High School, as well as Wild Lake and Long Reach. So that means added bike racks, because right now there's just one squiggly bike rack for the entire school. So with respect to the school start times and less busing, encouraging the high schoolers to bike more is going to be super important. So we're going to install some covered bike racks, some more normal bike racks, and a bike maintenance station, which I just saw the one over at the community college today. I was like, oh.
I
this is-
used that one.
Do you?
I used that one this week because I had a flat tire and they had the And the levers and everything.
Yeah, so it has a air pump and then it has the basic tools to change tires or fix chains and, you
Oh,
know,
wow.
adjust stuff.
Cool.
And then,
Does
so
it
we're
have,
doing
like, a little
structure.
supply of inner tubes, or you have to have your own to?
No, you
No,
have to bring that.
yeah, and I've been trying to figure out how, Lane and Kennedy suggested there's vending machines that have that, but
Mhm.
I think
To
we
have
don't
what?
quite, that have tire tubes.
Oh,
But
right.
there's so many different
Yeah.
kinds of tubes out there
Yeah.
that
Hatch
for
kits.
our small, exactly, so
Hatch kits.
hatch kits, we might work with the administration in the school, we're gonna meet with Dr. Fink. As soon as he's back from vacation, and, you know, see maybe inside they'll keep some patch kits, or
Yeah.
maybe just a teacher will be responsible for that. Anyway, so one part's gonna be the infrastructure, and then another part's going to be, we're gonna work with free bikes for kids. To get the high schoolers who don't have bikes. And then we're going to teach some bike care classes. To make the high schoolers responsible and independent for taking care of their wheels,
Right.
and this is how you do stuff, and you know. So teach them how to do that, and then we're also gonna have some events, because if you build it, they will not come, because they're high schoolers, so. We have to entice them with some things, so we'll figure out
Something free.
yeah, bike and you get free
Food.
breakfast,
Food.
or bike and we
Yeah.
get ice cream after school, something, I don't know.
Okay.
Talking to-
Guaranteed good grades. Guaranteed good grades. Fix that report card. There we go.
Google Play card.
Physical education.
Or a Roblox card.
Oh, yeah.
That's what they like.
I don't know.
Yeah, something. So I'm gonna leave that up to some teachers to figure out how to incentivize that. Figure out what we can do to get that habit started, because, you know, until it's a habit,
I
then,
love the bike plus idea that you talked. about.
yeah. So that's more for younger kids.
Yeah.
I think we can trust high schoolers to ride. You should, if you're a parent, you should trust your high schooler to ride to school.
Individually, it's fine. As
Yeah.
a group. not just-
Have you reached out to, anyone at REI?
No,
Cause I think last summer they were doing like a lot of like the bike care in the parking lots. Cause I usually take my bike to go get
Yeah.
to do the tune up there, and I think they were doing like bike care there. They had some of the younger kids teaching them how to ride and,
Mhm.
you know, stay within the lines, get off the bike before you cross the street, things like that. I think they were doing something like that in the back of the parking lot to the left of the store. You're standing directly in
Yeah.
front of it. They had it all, the whole parking lot was blocked off, and they had it set up with, you know, a little truck with music, and then they had the cones and stuff out, but it was kind of cool.
yeah,
So
that is
maybe-
cool. We do have a partner that does bike rodeos and
Oh,
teaches that
okay.
kind of stuff, and I didn't even think about that, Lauren, for high schoolers, because I took for granted that high schoolers ride their bikes, but
Right.
maybe they don't, and then that would be good for confidence building too.
And that's something we were like Washington DC does. It's required that if a student goes through, what is it, first grade, second grade, they learn bike safety. They learn how to ride their bike on the road. We don't have that in the county. And that's, the terrible accident happened on 175. That boy did everything wrong and he was not trained. He did not go through the training it's in some of the schools, and that, that could have prevented his death.
That's one thing I was gonna say is that, cause I walk a lot and I noticed, and my husband just the other day, and it was a young girl riding her bike to the pool, and she just kind of, normally someone rings their bell or they say on your right, well, I didn't do anything, and he said, luckily I just moved out of the way, and it's happened to me too, so I was thinking, and I know my high schoolers, or former high schoolers, I would tell them, but it might be something to teach them, you
Right.
need to how to signal and what are.
I mean, they're,
Right.
yeah, they're-
Not
That's
just
a
bobbing
good
and
point.
bobbing and weaving off.
Yeah.
Right,
So, yeah.
exactly.
If we could do like a pilot here in Oklahoma or something like that.
Well, that's essentially what this grant is,
Yeah.
and that's great. We're doing the 3 high schools, and the county's already reached out and said, let us know how your process is, so that hopefully they can duplicate it elsewhere if it goes
Good.
well,
Yeah,
which
that's really-
So
we think it,
But for the bike safety part, like riding on the roads and all that, that's included in what you're doing?
well, no, but now it will be. We were gonna do the maintenance, but I think we have, what is,
John.
John,
John's a certified safety instructor. Betsy teaches it. I
Yeah.
don't know if she's certified, but she's.
but who's the lady who stopped by who talked about trying to do the bike rodeos places that we were gonna, anyway, yeah. Yeah. So anyway.
So I'm sure Dr. Fink will have good ideas, but one of the things that popped into my mind is for the past several years, Oakland Mills does like a back to school festival, you know, in their parking lot where we've actually gone to it and given things out. They give out free books, lots of organizations. So that might be an event to get involved with if the timing's right. I mean, it's like a month away at this point, believe it or not, but
We applied for the innovation grant back in early April.
Mhm.
And I didn't know what the turnaround time was, so we were really hoping to be able to do all this over the summer, so that come school year, we could kick it off, but there's no way at this
Yeah.
point. So, yeah, we might have to temper that, but.
yeah, but maybe for the future, but they do other things as well. You know, they have other little festivals like that throughout the year, you know, a couple months into the year, they do a homecoming one, they do a lot of things, and I'm sure Wild Lake and Long Reach do too, so,
Mhm.
yeah.
And Mark does come to remember.
All right, thank you. All right, well, all I had, since we're kind of staying on bikes, was just to thank Warren and Rebecca once again for the corral on the 4th of July. Once again, I didn't take advantage of it because my street has its block party on the 4th of July, but I heard a lot of people did, and it got widespread distribution throughout the county. I saw it on like every county related social media post, website, everything, so that was great.
We
Yeah,
use a
in the
picture
county
of the
was-
bike corrals on the Facebook pictures.
Yeah, I just saw that. Yeah, they were so supportive.
Yes.
We really appreciated all the public publicity that they provided.
And you did a great job at the press conference.
I was very nervous. You did, you know, one of those things that afterwards you're like, oh, why didn't I do this and this? I should have said this, but that's okay.
All right, well, that's everyone. The gavel's missing, we're adjourned.
Makes you have.
Oh, well, all right, we need to hang around for another 9 minutes.
Let's talk about the hill.
Yeah, yeah,
Let's not.
let's talk about what a mess the hill is.
Right.
Um,